Welcome to the Wisdom Check by Tabletop to Keyboard. This is going to be our bi-weekly podcast where we discuss things such as Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, I think maybe we need to turn up my mic a little bit, guys. How about some more game?
This is the intro to end all intros. We talk about Dungeons, Dragons, and
Now, I don't think that's proper. This is a family show after all. This is the intro we can use, fellas. It's good, clean fun for everyone. Welcome to the Wisdom Check, where we have wholesome conversations about the dilemmas we face every day.
Nah, hold on a second. I got your intro right here. Yeah, that's better. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Well, I'm right, Jeff's wrong. We're gonna have guests on to talk about it. It's gonna be awesome, because I said so.
He is right. He did say so. I don't know. Is surf music the best music for a podcast about D&D?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
This just in, nobody can agree on our intro for this podcast. So we're just going to start. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Roll for initiative. Fuck. A 1. It's like every time.
All right, we are live.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Another Monday night. It's another Wisdom Check. I am Dustin. With me over there on the other side of the screen is Jeff.
Hey.
And joining us today, guest of honor, is the Liching Hour. Go ahead and say hi to everybody there.
What's up, Liches? Kevin from Level 9.
Level 9.
Oh,
look,
he
got some
brought
effects.
special effects, man.
Man.
I feel underpowered
This is
now.
pushing our tech to new limits right here. We haven't had a guest we haven't had a guest with their own special effects since we had DM Reagan on here from Getting Dicey. With
That's
his,
right.
With the mouth cutout picture that he does. So,
That was pretty fun, yeah.
So that's awesome, Lich. Well, welcome to the Wisdom Check. Been excited, been waiting for this one for a while, because I've been watching your stuff for some time, and I've always found it to be really impressive, the stuff that you do. So let's go ahead and just kick off with talk a little bit about your gaming history. Now, how'd you get into tabletop role-playing games, or do you do tabletop role-playing games?
Oh, I do. Yeah, for sure. In fact, when I started my stream, I've been streaming for like a year and a half. And when I started, I was doing role-playing games. Mm-hmm. I was doing exactly what I'm doing now, but with a role-playing game system. At the time, it was Dungeon Crawl Classics. You guys ever played Dungeon Crawl
we know
Classics?
DCC is.
Yeah.
All right, right on. And so I kind of evolved to the board games, but I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. Actually, you guys mentioned that you want to talk about that, so I grabbed off a bookshelf Mancha Manual, I think it's the very first edition.
It is definitely the original.
That is first ed D&D for anyone out there. Some of you fifth ed newbies who haven't seen it. That's old school book right there. That's original.
So it was like you had to color your own pictures.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is that the intellect devourer on the bottom there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Man,
old
Jeff,
school.
You're good, man. You're sharp.
I've been around.
Yep. Yeah. If you imagine a 9-year-old being taken to a toy store and my dad says, pick out whatever you want. And I found this book and I was like, what the fuck is this? And
what your dad didn't know is there's three you have to buy to you go with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't know. He's like, yeah, you like it? All right, let's get that. I'm like, yeah. This is my first, I didn't even have the rules or anything. And I read the hell out of this book, figured out how to play. Finally got the
backwards
basic.
engineered it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I got the back, and then I got the red edition, the red box.
Nice.
And went from there.
Man, that's
But yeah, I colored like almost every picture. It's crazy. Here, we TVMA here.
Go for it, man. Do what you got to do.
Okay, good.
We swear right in the intro, so.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. We're going to be all right.
we had to drop one just so everyone knows what they're getting into when they come on the show. So.
That's good. So yeah, I've been playing a long time. I'm a long-time GM, never played much. I go to Gen Con. I go to Gen Con and I'll drop into one-shots, and that's fun. Games on demand and stuff like that. But mostly I GM.
So with your GMing there, did you immediately get thrown in that, or were you originally a player that got drawn up, or what was the kind of relationship there?
Oh, baby, I think I was always a DM.
Yep, from the get-go, shoehorned
So when
right
I got
in.
that red box, like I gathered up the neighborhood kids and I like put together a syllabus on how to teach them how to play.
Oh,
I had,
wow.
like, lesson plan.
Nice.
I was trying to. Yeah, it didn't work out that great, but it was fun.
Well, that's
They tried
because
to
it took a lesson plan to explain Thaco.
Right.
It was like it was doing math. It was
Yeah.
Boy, those old
I mean, this was
editions.
it. Early 80s. This was early 80s. It's like, we didn't have anything like this. There was no video games to reference, you know?
Right. Well, and even a cooperative game is already kind of strange. Collaboration was not the style of gameplay anywhere.
Totally.
If you're used to just sports, like there's no collaboration in sports. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
I got a reminder of that just like a couple of weekends ago. I brought the board game Horrified over to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Hey, this is a game. It's got all these monsters. It's real cool. It's cooperative." And they're like, "What? What's cooperative?" I'm like, "Damn, yeah,
it doesn't seem like it should be foreign, but it is.
yeah."
doesn't mean that they aren't difficult though.
No,
Mm-hmm.
right.
So
And
you went.
fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. So you went out and you found your first game group. Did you like actively go recruit people? Were they already your friends? Like how did
Yeah,
that
they're
process
just
look?
neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
Neighborhood kids.
Did any of them ever stick it out? Did any of them get into it much, or was it like a one and done sort of deal? And they were
Not. I didn't meet my first group until like junior high.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
we
sense.
had people, and we'd all shared. Some of us would DM, some of us would play. I got a little bit of playing in there, and then once I was a kind of an army brat. I lived in Germany for quite a while, and I say kind of because my dad wasn't in an army. He was a contractor, and so then those kids come and go. So that group didn't last more than a couple of years, and then I'm moving around a lot. Came back to the States and didn't really hook up with anybody since then.
Gotcha.
Then I kind of walked away from it for a while and found Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
as most of us have.
Yeah,
And crawled out of the depths of that just to fall into World of Warcraft and crawled the fuck out of that hole and got back to where the real shit is,
And it didn't eat you back alive with the Royal Classic, huh? You didn't get drawn back in for that one?
No, fuck. That's crazy. It's crazy.
It almost got me.
Your heroin dealer being like, "Yo, I got that good shit from back in the day. You want to try it again?"
It's like your heroin dealer just got out of prison and hit you back
Yep.
up. You're like, I ain't seen you in a
exactly.
decade. And first thing you do is call me back up. What are you kidding?
I got that Wowie Maui or where the hell.
So for those in our audience here that maybe haven't been to your channel and haven't seen what you're doing specifically, can you kind of give a little bit of a general synopsis of what it is you're doing? And how you came to start that, because it's really unique.
Yeah, so like I said, so I don't have a group on a regular basis, and actually I'm gonna pull back a little bit,
Sure.
if you don't mind, because I got inspired.
You do your thing.
You guys know Matt Colville? You familiar with
Yeah,
Matt?
Sounds familiar.
I follow a little bit of his stuff. Yeah.
So, young gentleman, a little bit younger than me, decides he's going to go on YouTube and start making videos helping people be DMs, giving them tips for being a DM.
Mm-hmm.
He blows up a little bit because the guy's smart. He talks really good and he knows his shit, right? And he kind of blows up on YouTube. And I start watching him. I'm like, damn, this guy's great. And then he does a Kickstarter because he had developed a 5th edition supplement book for it's called Strongholds and Followers, I think, and kickstarts it, and shit that he gets 2.1 million. I think it was where he was at the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's the dream come true, right? And then so he took that money and he started a studio. So he's doing Kickstarter, more supplement stuff, but he also started a stream, and he does on Wednesday nights. It's called The Chain.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of more inspired by Mercer and Critical Role and all that. And I think he knows them and stuff. It's a pretty good show. Anyway, I was pretty impressed, inspired by that, because I'm an amateur game maker and I've got a big project that I've been working on.
Oh, nice.
And I have never been that great at the social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did my forum days back. I think we all went through our forum days where, and I was like, that was another hole I fucking crawled out of. And
we're just dating ourselves. We're just
right?
telling them our
Like,
age at this point
forums,
is what we're
muds.
doing.
What are you talking about?
So So where was I? Oh, anyway, so I was inspired. I was like, okay, you know what? If I don't want to work Board Game Geek, or I don't want to work Facebook, or work all that, maybe I can do my thing on Twitch streaming, because I've been popping in and checking out D&D streams on Twitch. And a couple of years ago, it was a modest amount, but nowhere near what it is now. But I was still seeing lots of cool stuff happening. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and that's really cool. I'd like to do that. I don't have a group. How would I do that? So I thought about it. I was like, what if I do like my version of Matt Colville's videos? I didn't want to get up there and be like, hey, I'm expert DM and I'm going to tell you how to dungeon master.
Right.
I was like, I need my own kind of vibe going on. So I hit on like, well, I want to play. That's definitely what I want to do. I want to come up with stories. But I don't have a group, so how am I going to do that? And I was like, well, what if I do this? I saw Twitch plays, like all these different things, right? Video games typically. I was like, well, what if I do a Twitch play thing? So that was the going idea. I was like, I started a stream. I was using Dungeon Crawl Classics. I was getting on. I was going to be a DM. I was going to be a Twitch DM. People come in and chat. This is the big dream, right? People come in and chat, and then they could give input, and then it would guide the story, which is great, and it could work if you have an audience right away. So I didn't have an audience. So after about a year after a little while, I was like, just being the DM, using the game engine as a way to create a narrative and story, being the players too. And after a while, I just had to admit I really liked it, and I was getting a rush out of it, and it was kind of fun. So I just kept doing it. And then I was also doing some solo board gaming too, like Scythe, which got me a lot of hits on YouTube. But and then I hit on Apocrypha Adventure card game, right? I was 3 campaigns in with Dungeon Crawl Classics. I was doing a lot of shit with that, but it was a lot of prep. And so I hit on Apocrypha Adventure card game, and I realized, well, I can do exactly what I'm doing with the role-playing games with the card games, which is use the card game to create a story, use all the mechanics and all that kind of stuff to help, to give me hooks and things, you know what I mean, to like work with that, and it'd be like a lot less prep.
Oh yeah. Well, so long as your improv skills are up to snuff.
And really, and a lot of improv. I mean,
right.
Really quick improv.
Yeah. And so anyway, that's where I'm at now. I started using the Pocket Adventure card game, and I played the Pathfinder Adventure card game, and both of them are pretty good story generation devices. Things like those two are good. Arkham Horror board game is good.
I still got to try that.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about that one.
I watched you play a session. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm at now. I like making stories. I like coming up. It kind of gives me, I dig it. But now, it's funny, is now I'm just like last Saturday, the boys were in there. And just having these guys in there, the Drunks and Dragons guys, I'm realizing, okay, so now I'm at the point where I wanted to be a year and a half ago, where I might have an audience that I could play off of, but I'm like all up in my own hole, right? They were all in there Saturday. It was the end of it was like a climactic end to one of the books I was doing.
Probably their liver by the sounds of it.
What's that?
Their livers by the sounds of it.
Yeah, right. And anyway, it was a big climactic episode. I already had an idea where to take it, and they were all about wanting to interact, and that's fucking great. But I was like already kind of shoehorning and train writing myself into this one kind of place. And now I got to think about it. I was like, maybe I got to change up my game a little bit and swing the needle back towards what I originally thought, with more interaction.
We got a little response in chat there. His liver's fine. Well, that's good. A lot of practice, I guess.
Oh, is Mojave in there?
Yeah, he's floating around up there.
Yeah, he is in there.
They had a rough time. That's true.
It's Stargath in the chat.
Yeah,
nice.
The fan interaction is a double-edged sword, that's for sure, depending on how you set it up. And that is kind of interesting, because it's something, when I was doing YouTube on the regular, that I was really looking at, is, always trying to get some kind of feedback going on. And, in the YouTube land, you're spending the time making the video content, then you're editing, then you're uploading, then people have to consume it, and then it's usually they don't see it right away. So then by the time you get some feedback on something you ask in something, you're already like 5 episodes later, and it's way too late for you to make a change. You've already decided something and gone with it. So like the switch over to Twitch, where you get this like instant feedback, is just amazing. It's like just sitting here in the chat with people is great. And I imagine, for what you're talking about, where you kind of got your start, you had an idea of lots of interaction, and then you developed in another direction, and then you're regressing. Well, not regressing, but you're going back to these old ideas suddenly of like, well, now I have the audience. What do I do with it? What do you do with it?
Right. I've been in advertising for like 20 years, digital side, and I've explored all different types of interactivity, digital interactivity, and I've always been chasing the dream of what real interactive TV is. And I'll tell you what, Twitch and the idea of live streaming with a chat room is the closest to interactive TV that we can get.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got like Bandersnatch on Netflix, and that's cool, choose your own adventure, video kind of shit.
Right.
But that actually has been around. That kind of stuff's been around. It's basically just a video game.
Right.
This is something completely different. And it's so funny is what I found of the internet and digital is it's the simplest things that make the biggest impact. That like you weren't even like I'm trying to come up with these crazy ass ideas to market a brand, and all it took was slapping a chat room next to a video, a live stream, and I'm like, it just shook my world. When I was sitting and watching this guy walk around Japan in Tokyo, what's his name, Jake and Bake. He's awesome. I'm just watching him on the other side of the world, right? And he's responding to us in chat. I was like, this is mind-blowingly cool.
Yeah, there's a quality to it that's like, when you watch TV or watch a movie or something, and you see a celebrity and they're doing whatever they're doing, not having interaction with them, creates this kind of specialness to them. They're a different class of people. And then when you get into a Twitch, I think you end up with people that are entertaining you in the same capacity, but these people you can touch, you can speak to, in a metaphoric sense. And so I think there is a really big draw to that. Like, so I find myself watching stuff and they're not doing anything, but it's just a personality there that I'm just, hey, it's so-and-so. Yeah, we're friends. Cool. Let's talk,
Right.
People have never seen each other in their life, but there it is. One side's just a chatter and the other person's on screen. So it's not even like the same level of connection, but it's really interesting.
But it's connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets surreal when you then get a chance to actually meet some of them. Like when I got to hang out with Bob from Dadbod, or Featherfall Tabletop, they rebranded. I got to hang out with the Gen Con for a day. Like, so it was like surreal. It's like, here, I've seen him online, we've talked, like he was on Wisdom Check once, and then boom, got to spend a day with him, So it's like, it's crazy, like when those things get to happen, because we go to these conventions and stuff, and we get to start like meeting some of these people too. So it's like, it's super awesome. Like, I can't wait to get to do more of that sort of stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with YouTube, YouTube's basically TV. Just, and I didn't want to get into the YouTube trap. I rip my stuff and I wait the obligatory 24 hours and I put it up on YouTube. But I didn't want to get into the post-production kind of whole, I don't have the time to do that. So I've been like, if people want to watch it, I'm going to put it up the way it is on, the way it is live. And I let them know it's live and they come check me out, if they want to see me live. But I get a pretty decent amount of views on YouTube.
Well, the beauty is it just keeps going, long after you produce something, you're still getting hits. And usually it ramps up over time, snowballs. It's interesting, so our chaos is in here saying it's very different when you're watching something predetermined in every way versus something where you can directly influence it. And I guess it really depends on how much influence the content creator allows.
Well, I think the biggest difference is when you're watching like a movie or a TV show, you have to connect with the character. But when you're watching something like this, what you do is you end up connecting with the creator. And there's a different line there where you can switch your D&D party from one group to a new game completely with new characters, and I'm already invested in your game because I've connected more with you. It's almost in the same way where some people have a favorite movie director, and it doesn't matter what movie it's getting put out. If it's by that director, they're going to go see it, and they already know they're going to like it before they walk in. So I think it's kind of like that, except it's more of a two-way street that connect. A lot of times, those people then get connected back to you, which you don't get with other media.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating too, just seeing that there are so many channels producing different types of content that are also supporting one another. And that's what we're doing with this. We have a stream team, and a lot of people in the chat tonight are part of the stream team. And, we're all making, tabletop game adjacent stuff. But beyond that, we're all very unique in our telling of that. We all have different
very, very
kind of
different
angles and styles. And it's it's just really nice to be able to go out there and surf the channels, so to speak, and find a different take and pick up a little bit here and there and then bring it back into your own.
Air Laser brought up the idea of a collab last night. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, we
She was talking about the context of a game.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it could be something else too.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to think of the new shit.
Dustin's kind of getting into that. He's kind of collaborating with some other groups right now.
Yeah, I collaborate with a lot of people right now, but I actually had pitched the idea on one of the Discords. I think it was Grouch Couch's Discord. I was like, listen, we need to do like a stream team game. we need to pick some of us from each of us to do like a one shot stream team game. Like,
Yeah.
it'd be hella fun to do for just one night. Pick some night where we can do it and make it happen. I think it'd be fun.
Definitely. But yeah, that's the thing, time investments. With Twitch, I think you got a little bit more freedom. I guess the difference with Twitch is you have to be super consistent if you really want it to go. Whereas with YouTube, you can just kind of put out your stuff as you kind of go. But, you're right, though. You can spend a lot of time producing things for YouTube. Like, nice. Just
Like
rocking
it back
it
up again.
on fire. But, when we were starting off, my buddy Clint and I, we're both in the same group here. And he and I were doing Fallout content. And I was into like the Let's Play side, and he was doing builds. So like he'd make little towns and stuff, and got crazy detailed with all of his builds. He'd like tell stories in them, and have like audio things he'd pull out. So it can take a lot of effort, and he would spend weeks on end producing an episode, and they were great, but it took weeks, So
You say Fallout? You're talking about.
He's like a video game
76 or 4.
4. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. I've honestly thought about trying to port my thing into that world, which people are already doing. I mean, people are actually already doing that. They're doing it really good, like in Grand Theft Auto and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
They're just playing the characters. That's a whole nother little subgenre that's really cool.
I think if you can get people to go into it together and create and establish that kind of environment, then it works. Because I think if you're just one dude in there trying to force role play, it gets a little challenging. Unless you're really adamant,
It's
then
it's
you
definitely
kind of
a
become a robot.
co-op thing at that point. Like you got to have everybody on board, or it doesn't work. And I mean, you see that at a table sometimes too, even in a regular role-playing game. If there's people who just don't want to role-play and you try it, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's something we should try at some point. Just go find a game and just shoehorn role-playing in super hard, but also be good at the game. So we're just like simultaneously deal with this.
Arcos has got a good comment here. He says, something I find more interesting about Twitch over TV is there's no formula to follow. Like how every police show is the same. Every group comedy is the same. YouTube is starting to follow in that same idea where they're dictating content guidelines. Yeah. I mean, Twitch has content guidelines, but they're not nearly that direct. But I don't know. I mean, do you feel like that's somewhat true? Do you feel like YouTube's getting to be a formula?
YouTube? Well, actually, I hit it on the Twitch side. If you take a step back, there are some patterns that I'm seeing, like especially with the tabletop role playing kind of explosion. You got pure voyeur, right? That's your critical roles. People are you're just watching, right? There is no interaction really. Well, maybe they do some. It's very minimal though. Then you got hyper RPG, which is awesome. They're just like a hotbed of trying to innovate and do cool things. I don't know if you guys watch Colic. Colic show on Hyper RPG.
I don't think I know this.
It's a kids on bikes RPG, but
okay.
They've got some really cool. They have people vote on some major story of things at like every interval. Cool. Every time they take a break, everyone's voting on a certain thing to insert a new character, and they really explore different sets and things like that. But it is still primarily people playing an actual game, and you can tell they're playing the game. They're rolling dice, that kind of thing. Then you got that swings the needle a little bit towards more interactive, and then you have there's 1, 2, and then 3 is your full on, which is I think is the Grouch Couch.
Yeah,
and others where you're just like everyone's talking. That's what I loved about it. That's why I stuck around. Is when I made one of the players, I forget who it was, laugh. I was fucking hooked.
Yeah.
I think it was Kid. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. All right, I'm gonna do this, and that became my thing. Is every Sunday, see how many of those fuckers I can make laugh. And I still do, and that's the only reason I make Pogli videos. But that's the fun part.
Definitely.
And that transcends all that. But anyway, to Arco's point, yeah, it feels. I think what he's feeling is that it feels new, very new. But if you take a step back, we are starting to fall into categories. Yeah, I, for one, want to see it pushed. I can't wait to see the new shit.
For sure.
Like I want to see I was thinking the other day Rocky Horror Picture Show. If that had been a live stream thing,
oh my god,
what kind of fucking shit would that be? I want to see that. Man. That's what I'd love the Grouchies to do. You know, like fucking be the next Rocky Horror Picture Show or cult classic.
Definitely. You know, it's interesting because I think what we're seeing is that YouTube. It's easier, I think, to look at YouTube in archival form and see what works and what doesn't, because you immediately have like the list of channels in a subgenre that have the most hits. You go to them, you look at it, you can look through all of them. How are they edited? How are they formatted? What style of comedy? You know, how loud and excitable is the person? Whatever. And if you want to get the hits, you just follow the formula. Whereas I think with Twitch, it's not as easy to go back and look at that. And so everyone's jumping into the arena going like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? We'll try something. Did it work? I guess. Because you kind of get that self-selected audience that kind of comes to your show. And, you know, so it works, you know, for that group of people. And then you just kind of continue with it, I think. And I think that may be why we're getting so much novelty and whatnot. Now, you were talking about Pogli, and we have a video that you gave us here. Some
Pogli, so. Let's do a clip.
Let's do a little clip of Pogli.
Let's go ahead and throw them in here real quick. And this is what is this from? This is like the in between break periods for the Grouch Couch.
Oh no! This is the Pogli opens the show. Well, at least this season, Pogli opens the show. Yeah, gives you a little breakdown of what might have happened last week and kind of sets up the stage.
Hell yeah! Well, let's go ahead and throw it on here, and I'm going to toss it on in a couple seconds here.
Get this thing to roll.
Hopefully, it works.
Yeah. So the cat's penis is barbed. It's got a hook when it goes in, man. It ain't coming. Oh, hey, it's I, Pogli. Me and Blory here were just talking about the last episode. Holy shit, chaos, right? Haha, so much stuff happened, yeah. Man, I wrote a little ditty about it. Well, you're not the only one that writes, you know. Yeah, so why don't you lay me down a beat? Yeah, that's good. Alright, here we go. Haunted forest of fucked up shit. Windigo up and windy went. Ghost players, cannibals, rabbits, stew. Evil's on watch, looks coming for you. But who watches the watchman? You watching your back, son? That's Sargos assassin. Knifing's a fact, son. Lucky for you, got a Lou on your crew. Well, lucky for you, not lucky for few. 1 wish, 2 wish, 3 wish, fish. Zuzella with the secret, man. Why are you so selfish? You think you know someone, then it's like, wow. He said I do, and his partner said meow. Oh shit, sorry. You alright? Alright, let's get drunk. And dragons. Stay tuned, heroes. So you gonna make the chunky hunk your tank or what?
Okay, so we're back on now.
Oh man, that is great.
That's my favorite one.
That's funny.
Awesome.
Took me a little bit to get that sword drop, not to blow up people's eardrums, but it worked out.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I said before, I don't spend a whole lot of time. I challenge to make these videos as quick as possible, and if I could hit a certain bar, I'll be happy because I don't have a week to do it. You know, it deserves a week, but I don't have a week to do it.
It was solid, man. It's great. So, how much scripting did you do ahead of time for that, or was that a little off the cuff?
Oh no! That I write those out.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm not Lou. I can't spit bars out of nothing.
Yeah,
but
do you have to go back and watch the episodes again to?
I do. I have to because I'll go back. What I'll do is in the mornings when I go back to work, I'll play it in the background and listen for high points, and I just kind of like extract the things that are interesting to me, that are interesting to Pogli.
Now, for a little bit of cross-promotion element here, perhaps you can tell us a little bit of what was going on to create that video there, like what you're referring to as Pogli.
Oh, like the actual content?
Yeah, like the Grouch Couch and all.
From a higher standpoint, or just like specifically that episode? What happened there?
Whichever you think is more interesting.
So Pogli like hits the high point. So what I imagine Pogli does is ultimately he would say, this is what happened last episode, and this is what's gonna, this is where they are now, to kind of set you up. Mm-hmm. But I like abstracting that a bit. I like having fun playing with that whole thought. And that specific one was a lot of shit happened that episode, and I wanted to hit on everything, but I wasn't going to have him sit for 5 minutes talking about everything. It'd be boring. I want to have fun with it. So it's like, in some instances, I've done a rap before. It's an easy medium for like dropping a bunch of feels nonsensical, but it's all like in jokes and things that happened. For me to be able to fit a lot of stuff into like a little thing. I book in the episode with the big thing that happened. That previous one was Fishy's character Zuzulu had been he had to draw a card, which is something the chat room does to him, spinning dice to do, and he had to marry someone. I think it was the first person he saw or something like that, and it ended up being this cat person.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so he had to marry this cat person, and the boys are awesome because then the next episode they had a wedding, and it was fucking.
The wedding
fantastic. It was a perfect
it was pretty
segue.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was such a great idea, and but I kind of hit on the funny. What's funny to me is what would life be like being married to a male cat and person. So that was what's funny to me, and I had to get to that, and that whole thing was a setup for that very last line of the rap. Just calling it, say, hey, now you're marrying a cat, dude. What's gonna happen now?
So good. And so I'm assuming Pogli has a talking sword by the sounds of things there. So is that also from the game as well, or is that just a little character
That's
specific?
Something. So I do. Okay, so to bring this back to my show, the Liching Hour, I've started doing, about a couple months ago, I started doing intro videos like that for each of my shows, Friday and Saturday nights. I have a different character for each characters. And what I found in doing those videos for comedy, it's like the one guy I have is an old Nordic guy who his name's Jürgen, and he's talking to he's telling a story to the other people in the crowd. So, and I found that was a really easy, there's like a lot of easy hooks for comedy when you have something else that the audience doesn't necessarily hear or see, or you're talking to, you know what I mean? And so for Pogli, I was like, well, okay, so I got this paladin dude. He's going to be dashing. He was originally going to be a lot more self-centered, but I kind of moved away from that. But I was like, oh, how about, I had this sword. I was like, hey, maybe you should have a sword. And I was like, what if I was talking to the sword? Shit. One of my most favorite things in all role-playing is the idea of a magic sentient sword. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's like the coolest shit ever, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, just from, what's his name? The books, I forget the name of the guy of the book with the evil sword that drain his soul. Murcox? Michael Moorcock?
Moorcock, yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, well, what if he has a talking sword? So, but see, that's the cool is the sword didn't have a name. And me and Turk talked, and we're like, well, maybe we get the chat room to come up with a name.
Nice.
And it kind of worked out. Like, we're going to have people vote. That didn't necessarily work out because that's like herding cats, and I knew that wasn't going to work too well.
Yeah, you got to give them a couple options. Sure. Yeah.
But chat ended up naming it anyway because a little typo by one of the chat members, one of our members, kind of led to Blory, and I thought it was funny. So I kept hitting on the infame and Blory and things, and then when I had okay. So this is actually a longer story than I fucking thought it was. So I made Zulu,
backstory.
So I made Zulu draw a card off the deck of many things, and he got a magic item.
Nice.
I was like, well, how fucking cool is that? Well, holy shit, he's getting a sword. Or I think there might have been another draw, an NPC or some shit, and I was like, it's gonna be a sword, and now the sword needed a name. And then I was just like, oh my god, it's Emiquin named it a long time ago, so it became Blory, and that was a long ass story of Blory.
Hey, it's worth it. Worked out.
But
that's a good example.
It's randomized, like on the spot story making is just so much fun. You never really know what's going to happen, and the connections pop up.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot
of what you do on your stream, because you're doing it with board games and with card games by yourself. But I mean, you're pulling cards essentially, and then what it says goes, and you're just running with it. So I I mean, that plays directly into the things you like to already do on your own anyway. So I could see why you're definitely drawn to it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I mean, there's so much interaction and buy-in from the audience at that point. You know, because like once, like you were saying before, once you can make somebody laugh, or in this case, once you can kind of steer an element of the story or a character or something, you're immediately tied in. You're invested in what goes on going forward, and then you get these stories that you can tell in the chat, you know, to other people, and it's really freaking cool.
Yeah.
And see how thanks for the bits there as well.
Thank you, Air Laser.
Yeah. And Air Laser also is part of the stream team there. And she does a variety act. So she was supposed to be on today, but she wasn't. So got bust her out a little bit. But yeah, she does a lot of kind of Let's Play stuff. And, you know, it's really cool just seeing all those different takes and, you know, how much types, you know, of interaction we get. Like we've been talking a lot about how on ours, you know, with our Everstorm game, we kind of came into it originally just as more of that first category we were talking about, where you're just coming in, showing what we're doing, and you know, you give a nod to the audience here and there, but for the most part, you're just playing the game. And we keep talking about having another games, you know, sometime in the week where there's a little bit more interaction. And you know, I think it would be kind of cool to kind of get into, you know, something like you were describing there, where the people are getting a little bit of input into the story. You know, so maybe have like 2 options, and then say, you know, like at some point before the decision point comes up, you know, a couple, you know, 10 minutes or something ahead, you know, open it up to a vote. And then, you know, I guess it's a lot more to plan for. I mean, if you're trying to run a campaign, that's 2 stories you have to write. But
every game system is a little different, because I kind of thought I might do it with my Zweihander game, Terror and Treefell. Because there's a couple of neat systems in Zweihander that I could allow people to, through the fortune point, misfortune system, through fate points, things like that. But my buddy Matt Jowett, who runs Grim and Perilous Gaming, he ran his Zweihander one shot that I was in, and he did do it. He opened it up for audience participation in that, and our guy Fruitzilla hopped in there and bought like 21 fortune points all at one time, and it just broke the game. So for session number 2 last week, he put 6 of them up there, and they could pay to flip them one direction or the other, but you can never have more than 6, because he came back at the eject. Matt was like, that's not what I thought was gonna happen. You gotta realize, like, once you open Pandora's box, like you've opened Pandora's box, you know. So, but I think what was important is we wanted to try to keep the tone of Zweihander, Grim and Perilous when we were playing it. You know, like it's supposed to be a game. It's not high fantasy. Like you can do things with D&D 5e like that, where you can have them pay for advantage and rerolls and draw a deck of many things, because it's high fantasy. It lives in that kind of system. You don't want it to. You don't want to go outside of that with a horror game where you want things to be scary. So I'm still working on my price points on where audience participation is going to be. But I think I might still do it with Zweihander. I gotta hone in where I want it to be first. So
the more I think about it, the more we're talking, I don't think the point thing for us and the kind of stuff we do, I don't think the point thing is a good idea. You know what I mean? Where you accrue points and you spend those points to do things. Like, check out Colic when you get the Hyper RPG when you get a chance in their Colic show. I think they're on Tuesdays, I think, at night. And their voting is a pretty cool thing. They don't. It's like everybody gets a chance. They got a bot set up so that everybody can vote for. They have like a multi-choice option. They have a screen come up. Here's what, you know, vote on what's going on. There's 4 options, and then everybody votes A, B, C, or D. You know. And then you see the chat room lights up with all the different votes, and then boom, they come back and they've added a new NPC, or they've added, you know, this or that, a new plot point, a rumor, you know what I mean, like something like that. It's like sometimes it seems like it's higher level stuff, that just adds to the world.
Might be kind of interesting to do it like instead of buying points or dice or something, have it where you could buy additional votes.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
So you're
stuff in that ballot box is what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, just get in there. You know, do a little extra work. You know, grease.
We couldn't do that on our channel. Whatever Fruitzilla wanted would go.
Well, you know, sometimes the Fruitzilla abides. You know,
he would stuff that ballot box to the point that there'd be no coming back.
Yeah, I think I keep talking about running that Pathfinder 2 game, so I think I'm going to try to introduce something along those lines. But you know, I'm curious how you go about being able to adapt as quickly as you have. Is it just a matter of a skill that you develop over time, getting experience, improving off the scene, or is that something you've just always been good at, or what?
I think it comes to I just love stories. I read so much when I was a kid. I devour so many movies, video games for the stories. That's really when it comes all down to it. I love having lots of RP books. I have lots of RP games that I haven't played, and a lot of modules, old D&D modules that I haven't necessarily read, but I feel comforted by knowing I have all this creative shit just sitting over here, just like whole worlds created over here. That's just amazing to me.
If you hit like writer's block, you just go pull one random book off the shelf.
Yeah, I'm just constantly pulling from the pool of what I've seen and what, just everything I can, everything. That's just what I. It's a rush that I pull it off. That's where the adrenaline rush kind of comes in.
Boy, howdy.
When I get really into it, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, okay, this is good. And then it's just me and my world, though. That's not like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no one else in that point. That happened on Saturday night.
For some of the things that you're doing, have you ever thought about bringing, because you're good with technology, obviously. You've got the special effects, you've got all these things you can do. But have you ever considered running like a Discord chat like we're doing now and having other people be other players in like your board game? Or actually playing the game with the other people like in an electronic format?
Absolutely. Although yes, it has to be the right situation, because I want to do things. I'm the type of person that I'm always looking for new. Like when I started, everyone's playing 5th edition. Most people would say, why don't you go on and play 5th edition, because that's what everybody's jumping on. That's the big train that's going on right now.
Right.
But I was like, that's what everybody's doing. That's not what I want to do. I'm going to do Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's fantasy adjacent. It's fun, but it's different. There's differences. And if someone's scrolling the list, maybe they'll be like, okay, so this is something new. So I've thought a lot about that. And I don't want to run just a status quo game. Every time I get ideas, it's a little bit more, it's a little different. I want to get more, you know what I mean? I want to get more interaction. I want to figure something out so I'm waiting for the right, which I think something might be coming up soon. Actually,
Any hints
but,
at what you're working on?
That said,
you're dodging. I can feel that.
That said, it would be fun to work with the stream team.
Hell
yeah.
And Air Laser and that'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was just something like one of your board games, like you've got those, like I was watching. What was it? I think it was like a Walking Dead. I think I was watching you play one night. Was it a Walking Dead board game?
Oh,
I think it was. And
that'd be cool.
That game looks super cool, and I
think a zombie horror game would be pretty good for this kind of context too, because its death is so likely, and it's.
What was the name of it? I'm sorry.
It was no, it's okay. It's Night of the Zeds or something.
Oh yeah, that's Night of the Zeds. This is what it was.
Yeah. A lot more involved, like strategy game of you defending a town versus the zombie hordes.
And that game was not. That game was hard. Like you played all 4 players and you lost.
Yeah.
It was legit. Like the board game still won. Like you could coordinate kind of how you wanted, and it still beat you. Like.
Yeah, it's soul crushing. I think I did. I was like. I think I played it like 3 nights.
We're losing bits of your audio there for a second.
We lost a little bit of your audio there, but
I'm losing.
You played it 3 nights in a row. You lost it, so you tried it again the next night, if I remember right. Is what?
Yeah.
Discord being Discord again, huh?
Damn you, Discord.
We're gonna have to find another way around this Discord thing. But
does Skype work well?
Every single one of them has their own problem. It seems like, but I don't know. Maybe we'll try what people are using, like Zoom or something like that nowadays. But whatever, that's not important. But technical stuff. But yeah, I think it would be pretty cool to get on and do one of those, because it's one of those where you could have people pick up and drop out. I would say without too much effect. If you're playing like a zombie game, there could be like a narrative element to it. But like your survivor camp or something. But that whole like hardcore survival kind of component of like you never know if you're gonna make it. Everything's a struggle, and there could be some really interesting interactions with the the chat.
Speaking of interactions with chats, we're getting a lot of chat here about some Pathfinder too.
Yeah, people are interested apparently.
I'm not going to plug too far ahead on what we're doing next couple of weeks, but in about 3 weeks, Jeff, I currently don't have anybody slotted to be on Wisdom Check. Do you want to do a Pathfinder 2 Wisdom Check discussion? Can you have it ready by then?
Maybe.
It's 3 weeks, Jeff. Come on, it's 3 weeks, man.
Possibly. I am moving soon, so I am
you're
in process of doing some stuff. But maybe, I don't know. I could piece together something.
Just don't pack that book yet, Jeff. Come on.
Well, I got a Game Hole Con this week, so on Wednesday I take off for that. And then
Game Hole Con.
Yeah.
I've heard
been.
lots about it.
I have not been. This one is, good times because we got my dad is an artist, and so I'm going to go work the booth this time. And a couple of the people we've had on the show are going to be basically right across from our booths, so I'll get to go say hi to them in person. It'd be kind of fun. And it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping to get some party in, go in, do a little networking, do my job here at the TT2KB, get out there, wheel and deal.
You were mentioning you go to Gen Con, so do you do a lot of conventions as well?
I wouldn't say a lot of conventions. I'll do Gen Con. I did it for like 4 or 5 years in a row, and I didn't go this year though. And then, but there is one in Michigan here called UConn that in Ann Arbor that I'm going to go, and I'm going to be play testing. I slotted 4 events for play testing my role playing game, and I'm pretty excited about going and doing that.
So you want to talk your role playing game? So you have one that you want to talk a little. Can you talk about it?
Hell yeah!
I have no problem talking about it.
Let's do it. Bust it out.
But the one thing I wanted to say before I got into that is, you notice how Paizo has gotten there. I think I say that right. Paizo, right? Is that how you say it? You notice how
that's right.
They've gotten into the game. We got to pay attention, guys, to all the guys that are getting into because it's important, because they're still D&D's. Wizards, the only ones that really own it right now.
Right.
They've got a channel. They have lots of great shows. Paizo's come in. I don't know so much about the shows, but they're trying. It's good. And then who else?
Paizo is looking at smaller channels too, by the way. If you don't know this, they're seeking out smaller channels that they're starting to interact with.
Really?
A friend of our channel here, DM Chuck from Defenders of Cobalt, Paizo actually followed them the other day on Twitch. Yeah, and so they're starting to see them infiltrating down here into the ranks, looking for. I think they're just looking for groups that might be running it soon.
When they need to check out Friday nights, the Liching Hour, when I play Pathfinder Adventure Card Game.
They should.
Yeah,
they should.
Plug. We should have a new character, Plugly.
My follow-up question could be: when you go to a convention, do you have a different mindset going in as a streamer now, where you're looking at things like that can go on stream, this could be fun for stream, instead of just like, hey, things I want to own? You start looking at it a little differently, don't you?
Absolutely. And I look at like how long before everyone's streaming from their tables. And then it's like, it's not new anymore because everybody's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming pretty quick, where you're going to walk around the convention. If it's not at Gen Con next year, I'll be really fucking surprised. If you're not walking around the convention, you see people with their phones on little tripods and shit. And then there'll be people who got to go all out, and they got to have a boom mic and stuff. But that'll be happening at almost every table, I'm imagining.
Yeah,
or at least a lot of them.
We certainly haven't talked about it.
They'll be renting rooms out to streamers soon, is what it'll be.
Exactly.
I mean,
I'll tell you one thing. At Gen Con, I was passing out flyers for our giveaway and kind of, trying to promote our channel. And it was like every person's like, oh, yeah, some white guys with a podcast about gaming. Okay. It's like, it's become the new craft beer,
Oh, my God. Well, I just heard a commercial on Pandora for a Guys D&D podcast.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's hit that level where, well, it's hitting not saturation, but it's cool. It's fun. Companies are starting to take notice. Not the podcast part. I'm not so much in the podcast, but it's like TV. It's like not. I like Arcanos was saying. It's like I gotta have that interaction. That's what I'm looking for. If I'm gonna watch your stream, that is.
Right.
But it's just wow. What a time to be alive and playing D&D.
Oh, no kidding, man. It's so different.
A decade ago, you wouldn't even tell people you played D&D. Yeah. Not in any kind of conversation. And now it's like, hey, watch my stream, people. Come on.
Now I got all these. I had this kid at work who wanted to learn how to play, And so I started a little campaign with him and a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. Just he wanted to be evil right away, which so like, oh god, that's so new. Like, look, calm down, edgelord. We're not gonna go evil right away.
People getting the power fantasy out.
One guy rolled a paladin, right? Another guy wants to be an evil tiefling. I'm like, come on, guys.
Nobody knows the rules, of table etiquette until they crash into them,
Yeah.
Gotta learn somehow. Touch that stove, kids.
Exactly.
That's part of why we started this show. I mean, we kind of were talking about there's just so many stupid things we've done throughout the years gaming. Things that just did not work, things you learn in hindsight. You're like, this is why you don't do it that way. Or here's a way to handle that when it inevitably blows up in your face,
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of people, I think, coming into games and finding new groups and trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. And it could be like, hey, guys, we're going to pretend to know some shit real quick, but pick up what you pick up and don't pick up what you don't. It's totally cool, but here it is,
Right.
So
right.
that was kind of our angle. Of course, we initially thought we were going to be fighting a lot on here, but just didn't pay out.
Yeah, originally we were supposed to argue a lot, and then found out we don't really argue that much.
So fucking weird. Like, off camera, we argue all the time. On camera, it's just like, no, after you, sir. After you. Yes, your point is well taken.
And it's not because I'm polite, because I'm totally not.
I agree. But it's funny. Like, it is interesting how shows change based on like what actually occurs as opposed to what you set off to do. And like you were talking about some of the characters and things, and the structure of your channels changed radically, and it never goes the way I expect it to go ever. Like I have no idea how to project the trajectory of this channel. Like what's going to come. Like we have ideas of things we'd like to do. And it just seems, I'm sure other groups have, got some kind of ideas kicking around and things they want to try to do, but you never know what's going to work. You just hope that by the time you do it, not everyone else is doing it.
It's really, right now, it's just kind of following your heart.
Yeah.
You guys are like, I want to get in there, argue, and talk shit about role-playing games. Let's see where that goes. And you just follow where it goes.
And now it's kind of
that's the cool thing about it. It's not a job, you know what I mean? So you're not tied to any kind of constructs, you know what I mean? Like you can just feel it out and go where you want to go.
Yeah, I'm really curious what happens if and when a channel starts making money, getting recognition, having advertisers and stuff, because that's when creativity starts to get a little bit of an extra lever thrown in, people trying to tweak things one way or another.
Yeah.
Is that something you worry about at all? Like if you get picked up, do you feel like you'd have to change what you're doing? Or
that's a really good question, but that's like the eternal question, right? It's the eternal question. I think every creative person who does something from music to whatever has to make that decision if they get picked up. I don't know. I think me personally being picked up would mean that I would be offered a spot on a show. You know what I mean? As like a player or God's sakes of DM or something. I think that's a different deal. You know what I mean? I would still, Liching Hour I would never make that. That would never be something that I would have to sell out to because it's just my personal playground.
Right. Yeah.
I figure, no, I don't think anybody would want it. You know what I mean? But me, maybe.
You never know, man. So. Like that's the weird thing about this is like, I mean, we set off to make a show. We didn't expect anybody to watch it. Like it's just like, we'll just go on and have fun.
We didn't expect anyone to want to be on it either. When I told Jeff, like when we were starting this thing, I was like, Jeff, we should have guests. And he's like, nah, let's just do me and you. I don't think anyone will be on here and talk to us. And I was like, nah, let me try. I think I can get some guests. It's like 30 episodes later, here we are, man. We keep finding new people to come on here and hang out with us. So
that's cool.
So yeah, I wouldn't sell you short. Like I came in the other night. I was pretty entertained. Like it was very interesting.
Awesome.
I have put your stuff in front of anybody that I can think to throw it in front of because I'm like, you won't find anything like this anywhere else on Twitch that I've seen. And I watch a lot of Twitch. and it is truly one of the more unique things I see out there. So,
dude, the best, other than the couch, I love Perception Studio with the Muppets.
I just found them recently. I joined their Discord and I found you there. I was like, what the hell? Lich is already in here? I was
they're so good.
I want them on this show sometime down the road. But I just met them, so I'm not at the point of asking yet. But I'll get there. Don't you worry.
How are puppets a thing? Like, this isn't the first group either. This is like we've seen puppets appear in gaming a few times now. What is happening?
In my collaboration I do on behalf of TT2KB, I DM'd a one-shot over on Featherfall Tabletop, and one of my players was from Oddball Show, and it was a puppet.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a thing, and then I found out there's a lot of it out there. Like,
really?
It's like, it's got it's like its own community, its own
subgenre.
Wow. I love that.
So
I think you have to call them felt friends. I don't think you're allowed to call them puppets. I think it's
felt
like a
friends.
Word,
Ooh.
It's like a derogatory term. They're felt friends or
Get with the 2019 guys.
felt friends or
Sounds
there's
a little
another
awkward.
word something American. I can't remember what the other term is for. I'm still learning the lingo, people. All right, before I have them come on the show, I gotta learn the
Flufful
lingo.
American.
If I go onto their thing, I could find it real quick. Hold on, you guys go ahead and talk. I'll be back in a second.
It's gonna go find us some key phrases to use, and we'll have to have a whole show about the etiquette of how to talk to the felt friends and make sure everything is inclusive.
You guys before we have them come on, if we do though, for sure. But no, but what they do is, if you want to go ahead and just talk about it, it is though, like you find these channels every now and then where they're doing something you just don't feel like you see anywhere else, and it's so crazy when you do see it.
You see, Scabby Rooster has started doing these.
Scabby Rooster.
Yeah, check it out. They lately they've been doing that. They have this like open studio area, and that they'll role play in, but they're standing up, and it's more of a setting, and they role play in it, and that's pretty cool. I hadn't seen that before. Like they got rid of the table completely, and they just have almost like a circular room that they act out in, which is pretty sweet.
So semi-LARP. Huh.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, you know what? We haven't seen the LARP invasion yet. That's coming.
I've thought about that.
Interesting.
Like
I've been considering booking a friend who's in chat right now actually to come talk some LARP with us one of these wisdom checks. So
yeah, which type of LARP are we talking about? Are we talking about like foam fighting LARP? Or are we talking about like Vampire the Masquerade LARP?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of.
There are a ton. Yeah.
Not that shit. The old school fighting out in the forest stuff, or even it's evolved from Masquerade. Although I'm pretty sure people still play Vampire quite a bit, but there's a lot of new stuff. You guys should look into getting maybe some of the indie designers too. If you could score a Jason Morningstar to come talk on your show, that would be a really big deal.
We're talking to a couple. I've got a couple I'm trying to line up for.
Right on.
I don't know. We've been talking about when season 1 of Wisdom Checks officially done. When will season 2 officially be? Probably when we make the new entry. That's when season 2 will officially
So like 2025. Yeah.
But yeah, you know.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool though to have key characters, players in a LARP having like a like a GoPro or something on their shoulder and just going about their game. I mean,
there's a show on Geek and Sundry where they play vampire and they're all in outfits, and it's like it's almost like a sitcom. Like they have like the sets built and they're not at a table, they're like walking around acting, and they happen to have character sheets. So it looks like a LARP on TV, like on Twitch is what it looks like. So that's the closest I've seen to what you're talking about. But I think that is coming. Like
I mean, think if you're going to do something like that.
They're already about halfway there as it is. So
I feel like if you're doing something like that, though, you would need enough players that are in on the idea that it's a show for entertainment. Because there are some moments in a LARP that are a little dull if you're not really pushing it. So you have to have those agents of change and the drivers of activity in the game wearing those GoPros, because you don't want the wallflowers.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the same with the playing at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a tension problem with. I can't watch a lot of streams. I mean, I go into streams to see what's new and what's cool, but usually I can't stay long enough to get an idea what the story is. I have a tension problem. I just can't do it. But when I'm sitting in there and I'm watching like 3 of the people are looking at their phones, or they're not doing anything because they're not involved in the scene, or whatever's going on. That's like such wasted energy. Sure. And I feel like, well, that's what you see. That's the tables. You know what I mean? That's not. That's just what the reality.
Because that's how D&D actually works.
Yeah.
Right.
Like at an actual table, the only difference if you're at an actual table is usually the people not currently talking to the DM or talking to each other, which you can't do on stream. So I mean, that's really the only thing you're missing from it looking like an actual D&D table.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Like you go channel to channel, and it's 5 floating heads on a screen, right? Like talking sometimes in very monotone ways.
Hey guys, what's going on right now? I'm just gonna go ahead and roll my sword. Oh shit, missed again.
And there ain't nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's what's cool. And this is cool about Twitch is it's a pretty much democratization of tabletop role playing game streaming. Anybody can go start a stream. People will go, and somebody might actually really dig and like those people and watch it, and that's awesome. But I'm like that junkie looking for that entertainment hit. That new thing. Well, where's that? I'm in the felt people. I'm looking for that felt, man.
I'm feeling that
felt shit.
There's just something a little different when you come across a screen and there's a human DM and 3 felt friends with dice in their little hands and character sheets in the other, and they're just like in a garage. They're in a garage.
Well, I think when you look at that is a crystal clear. People with a puppet on their hand know they're there for entertainment. You are on all the time in character, right? I think that's the difference, because I think some of these channels, there's like one person in the group that's wanting to stream and be an entertainer, and then you got the other people like, oh, okay, sure, put the camera up, like whatever. And so like you get a different dynamic to it. And like we were saying before, I think there is something to it about really heavy story games. Where Twitch doesn't really work too well, because people are coming in midstream in the middle of seasons, and there's no way to catch up. Like in our game, one of the things that I'm struggling with is that there's no way to get new fans, because there's no way to know what's been going on for the last year and a half in our game. Like we would have to go back and do like full-on recaps, at this point to get people up to snuff. And so I don't know. When I'm looking around at channels, it's hard for me to gravitate towards a really strong story game, even though that's what I would be interested in, just based on the fact that I have no fucking clue what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's hard with the stream, because to make a really good one, there's so much that goes into it. And that's what's really impressive that you do yours all alone, Lich, because like we have a guy who's really good at tech stuff. We have another guy who's good at art. Then there's me. I do all the social media stuff. Jeff does the YouTube videos. Like we have everything broken up between like 5-6 of us. I couldn't imagine trying to do it all myself. Like there's just no way. Like I don't have the artistic capability to make the cool overlays that we use for stuff, or the intro for that matter.
Right.
Like I couldn't do it on my own. So like you need a group of people with very different talents to make a really good successful stream, or you got to be somebody who's just multi-talented like you are.
Man.
You got to have those people. So I think it's hard for streams to differentiate themselves just based on their technical talents and abilities sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
And the machinery. Some of it's machinery.
Right.
No, you got to invest to make it work. That's for sure.
There's definitely hurdles there you got to get over.
Definitely. The biggest hurdle was getting started was the equipment. But once it got into it, I realized how easy it actually was. So easy for anybody to start up a stream.
Yeah, I mean, initially, before you get refined, you could just pop on and go, but, depending on what you're into, like, I don't know, for me, production value is pretty important, in terms of something I'm going to sit down and consume. Like if it's grainy and the sound is, in particular, if the sound is rough, I have a hard time with it. But, that once you kind of get those hurdles out of the way, though, it really comes down to, are you providing something of value? Are you creating something that's creative, and it's got a hook on its own just in the sake of coming to the show and just immediately being part of it. And I think that's something you're providing for sure.
Hey, Plague State. So it depends on your perspective on what expensive is, really. I kind of follow the model of the 2 turntables and a microphone. I found myself a decent webcam, which I'm using right now. That was $60, and then a Blue Snowball mic. That was about $45.
That's a Snowball.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I use my iPhone for my game cam. And so once I realized I could use my iPhone, it's fantastic. And I got a newer one recently because the camera went, and I'm just so geeked about how well it looks, how good it looks. So, and then I got a green screen a while back because I don't like where my setting. I'm not comfortable with it. I wanted a green screen. Plus, I like the idea of doing shit behind me, which we need to switch up here.
Oh, new locale.
Don't get too excited, guys.
Hey, hype it up way over. Oh, I like it.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I need to do the green screen thing.
I mean, the green screen was like $16. Like on Amazon, it really wasn't much, maybe $30 total for like some things to hold it up. Other than that, I mean, I'd say less than $150, and I was up and looking pretty decent. Like I haven't changed it. I wish I don't know lighting though. I need someone to help me with lighting because my lighting could be way better, I think. But I'm not there yet.
Yes, I don't know. It looks pretty decent to me. I actually just invested in one of those ring lights. I can't tell if it's actually better or not, but in the corner of my room where I'm kind of hiding out, it's been pretty rough back here. I had like all kinds of abstract ways of doing it. Like big part of what I got is this like monstrosity of soundproofing nonsense around here, made out of sleeping bags and stuff draped over like a room divider.
Yeah.
So if you looked around my little studio here, it's a real shit show. But it's the way of these things when you're getting started, just trying to patch something together and hope it works. But it's been a fun hobby, just kind of learning as you go. But yeah, you can find some good deals.
Yeah, exactly. It's forgiving. As long as you look halfway decent. Like you were saying, it's got to be like grainy. You know what I mean? You got to have some definite problems for there to be a quality issue. But even then, it's amazing what we're finding out in the YouTube era is lots of different people watch different things and enjoy different things. And even somebody who has a crap camera and a crap microphone, that person's probably got an audience out there.
Yeah, they do.
That's the cool thing.
When we started and I started going around all the streams and started looking, I was amazed at like how simple some of them were that had still followings. That people that were there every time, and it was just a camera on a tripod aimed at a table. And that was it. There wasn't even like two views or nothing. It was literally there was one microphone somewhere picking up all of them. That was it. And yet there were people watching, chatting, talking to them, donating.
It's a matter of finding that audience.
You totally minimize it. I just think that I think when you're in the wall of when people go and they look for like Dungeons and Dragons and you hit the 65 channels and they're all lined up side by side, starting with the really famous ones because they have the most viewers. Like when you start to get down there past row 1, row 2, you got to have something that kind of pops a little, I think, to draw those people in initially.
Do you guys see that Deborah Ann Wall stuff that she was doing artifacts and
relics and reliquaries?
Yeah.
I need to see it, but it's behind a paywall.
The production value of that show is through the roof. It is ridiculous.
It
and
looks
she's
really good.
Freaking fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
She's really fantastic. Yeah, she really keeps it going, and it doesn't feel like she'll suck me in and get me going, like watching longer. Her players are pretty decent too, and usually she'll have what's his name? I forget his name.
Most of them are actors,
for
real actors though. They're
Air Laser. Kevin Smith is on a bunch.
Yeah, he is.
Check that out.
Yeah,
he was on there.
That's such an interesting thing that we're running into too, with all these celebrities getting involved, and bringing some light to the whole thing.
Right.
But yeah, I think what the chat is saying here, the content is king. It's definitely the case. Really, when you're looking at a worldwide audience, in our case, we're coming on kind of late in the middle of a night, so realistically, we're only looking at North America, probably West Coast side of things, but. In theory, you've got a global audience, so you should be able to find 10 people that like what you're doing,
Yeah, right.
So, no matter what you're doing, it could just be sitting in a chair. Somebody showed me a video that went and just had thousands of views, and it was literally just somebody falling asleep, taking a nap on a couch.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, there was a.
I think Air Laser showed me that actually.
There was a guy who on stream fell asleep at his stream and woke up to 100,000 people watching him because it became a viral thing and everybody just sat there staring at him waiting for him to wake up.
That's awesome.
Just chatting about the fact how easy is money, getting bits and donations, chat going on, you're literally sleeping on a couch.
Right.
Dogs popping up. You get your cat stream on there.
I definitely think Andy Milanakis could do that.
Oh, for sure.
He could
100%.
definitely sleep on a couch and everybody would watch him. That guy's great. I like watching. I got a few different live chat ones I'll go and check out every once in a while.
Well, it's
That's
like
fun
the
to me,
channel
the
we're in right now.
voyeurism. What's that?
Yeah, well, it's like right now we're in the just chatting section. And I don't know if you've ever really just like kind of popped around the just chatting, but it's just like so random. It'd be like literally just a person walking around looking in their fridge, getting ice cubes out. And you're like,
Yeah.
there's 112 people watching this. Like, what the hell is happening? So
There's this really old Scottish guy on for a while that his grandson or somebody had hooked up a camera for him. And I think he was sick, but it was just him in his little apartment talking and drinking.
nice.
And it was so bizarre. I had no idea what I was watching, but that's what I loved about it,
Yeah, it's
Like,
just
what is
strange. I mean, I guess it's kind of got that reality TV kind of component to it, where it's just like, who knows what's about to go on here? It's something crazy,
There, one of my we got a little fire session there going on.
Man, you got the floating horns.
Well, it's after midnight now, so
Oh, yeah.
Is this what happens after midnight?
it's technically the Liching Hour.
Ooh.
The Liching Hour is the between 12 and 3, right before the Witching Hour. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
And is that the hour of the
spectacular.
wolf that follows immediately after that?
I'm always asleep.
You go to sleep by that. You're not up by that point.
Wolf, you're just like, just stay out there, man. We don't need to do anything. That's so good. Oh man, it is just fascinating because, like we've been saying, it's just all about being creative and doing something unique. And I mean, even that right there. I mean, it's if you were kind of cruising through just the channels and you saw somebody flaming up with some horns on their head, you'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm
Right.
gonna click on that.
Right.
So we gotta up our game, Dustin.
I say that all the time, Jeff. I say it all the time.
Costumes. We need animals
That's the
flying
problem.
around.
See, I'm the guy out there the most seeing these things, and I come back from like, guys, we have to up our game. You know what this guy does? And they're like, no, we don't have. I'm like, I can't explain it to you, and I can't make it myself. So figure it out.
So this channel I went to was 6 guys jumping on a pogo stick. The first one to fall, their character died.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
I'm just making shit up. I don't know.
Oh, that's one point I wanted to make about this whole discussion about audience interaction and different levels of is when are we going to see the first role-playing game system that's made with that in mind, with a chat room in mind?
Wow.
oh, an actual RPG made intended to be streamed.
Yeah,
Interesting.
intended to include an audience.
That would be interesting.
Sixth ed D&D.
I mean, if somebody was going to do it, it'd be Hasbro, right?
To be fair, though, with the explosion of 5ed, with the explosion of 5e, bringing all the players in, and with the rise of streaming, and with Critical Role being what it is, I cannot imagine that 6th Ed is not going to have that in mind.
Right.
I think if they ain't the first ones to do it, they're gonna knock it out of the park doing it though.
They won't be, and I'll tell you why. They're too. No matter what, they're still too big. They're too big of a dinosaur.
Yeah, moving too slow.
thinking.
Yeah, it'd be
moving
too much of a change. For the
They're
group.
about to pop 6 out already. Like,
Well, timeline, yes.
5 is-
I mean, this has been out
5's new
since
to us, but
2012. I
they
think
got
is
the
when it
money and
launched.
resources to throw at it to make that thing what they need it to be.
Right.
Like, if they were halfway into a 6th Ed, they could scrap it, have them start over, say, no, start working this stuff into it, and have that thing out. Smaller indie games, like, if they weren't already on that mindset 2 years ago when they started on the project,
Right.
by the time they're getting to
yeah.
publish now, they can't throw the brakes on that now. It's too late. Like,
Totally.
That's why I think D&D will be the first one that,
It'd be
unless
fascinating.
somebody else is already ahead of the game, and I just don't know. I don't know if they're out there.
Well, you're already
Yeah.
seeing video games incorporate Twitch. So, like, we were playing Vermintide 2 the other day.
Yeah,
So that's
Vermintide.
Warhammer game.
It's such a
And-
great game.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so much
Yes.
fun. And it's
But
got
it has that interactive
integration.
ability.
Yeah, so in Twitch, like, your audience can go through, and every so often they can, vote on whether it's this type of curse or that one, or this type of horde comes after you, or this one, or these 3 gunners show up, or this giant troll shows up, and they're just constantly dicking you over. Or sometimes they have to give you potions or something, So
Right.
it's just constantly just giving interaction points for the game, and
Yeah.
as players, we're like, God, fuck you, chat. And the more pissed off we get, the more happy they are. And then, it's fun. Like, that was an awesome feature. And I guess there's some other games that are doing the same thing. So, I don't know. I guess I'm curious if the market for streamed games is large enough for them to actually incorporate that or not.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I bet it is.
Well, it's got to be something that generates income for them, right, as a company. Like, in the sake of books, they're selling you a product. I don't know. There's got to be a way to monetize that somehow. That would be how it would get over the hump.
Was figuring out a way to make money off of it.
Well, the game company, right? Like,
right.
Maybe they have some kind of Twitch interaction stuff that they take a little off the top of anytime somebody donates to or whatever. I don't know.
Well, one thing that D&D needs to get on, I will give D&D props or Wizards for being like as big a presence as they are on Twitch for sure. But the one thing I like, Borderlands doing the whole, when you're watching someone play, if you've got an account with Ubisoft or whatever, I believe I'm saying all this right, you can score loot, like in-game stuff by watching.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And D&D should definitely do that, where I'm watching, God forbid, Drunks and Dragons, and boom, I just got this downloaded with this new adventure. It's a PDF, right? But no one else has it. It's new, and I can download it. Or a set of NPC characters, or there's so much great content that they could dole out as. Oh, that's what I was thinking of. And how in Twitch you got your little Prime loot.
Yes.
How come all my Prime loot? How come I'm not getting some? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
PDFs. It could just be digital stuff. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be
fascinating.
There's a dungeon map with some stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've got people for free creating all the content. You have an entire DM's guild out there writing content for 5th Ed every day. They could throw 20 clams at somebody, buy one of them, put it out there for everybody for free, put their name on it, and be done. Like, they don't. It's like almost no work. It'd
be kind of neat to do, like, if a streamer has some kind of stream code that they give their audience that could be used in the game that they're playing.
Right.
And that would have some kind of feature, helps the streamer out, but also gets some kind of discount or something for the user.
You know what? I was just thinking a big drive-through RPG should hook up with Twitch and do something like that, because that's where everybody's putting their shit. That's where you're getting, other than D&D Beyond, but I think drive-through RPG is even bigger. Like a bigger pool, it is too. And
it's more targeted.
Yeah. And then you could have lots of different types of RPG goodness depending on what I'm watching, or if they start, Twitch has got to have their AI, got to have like tracking and figuring out what we're watching and start serving me up. Here's supplements for the games. There's Zyhand, supplement or some shit. Because you guys are playing it.
That is something kind of interesting too, because maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see Twitch using much of the AI stuff. Like, it's not like YouTube where they actually have an algorithm going through and suggesting videos and kind of linking things together. And this, at least as far as I can tell, it's more of just like you're cruising around browsing stuff on Twitch.
They put the remote back in your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's effectively built like television. They put the remote in your hand, and you select sport channels on your TV, and it lists all your sport channels. In whatever order they're in. In Twitch, it's based on the number of viewers they currently have. It's not alphabetical. It's not any other way. It's which one's being watched the most.
Right.
So you fight to get those views to get up there to be up near the top. So
it's a little self-fulfilling though. That's the strange thing about it. No matter what system they put into play, there's going to be a bias towards something. And if you got the most views, you're going to get the most views. You're going to soak them up. If you're struggling to get started, nobody's going to find you. Because that's the same thing with YouTube. Like, until you hit a number of views in a certain period of time, they don't serve you up.
I think where Twitch is different is that there's people like me and Lich here. When we go to those channels at the top, they're not talking to anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I scroll down to the bottom 3 layers, however far down I got to go to get down there, where I'm seeing about 10 to 15 to 20 people in there viewing, and then I start clicking on those channels.
Yeah.
That's that's how I found all these channels that I found, because I'm not looking up there at the top. I'm not in those people's discords. I'm down there in the discords of all these people down there in the 10 to 20 range. Like that's where I go find people to meet up and interact with. So
the biggest hurdle for the whole chat interaction thing is, I think, when you start getting massive amount of people watching,
the chat's
and you
moving
gotta
too
slow
fast.
that shit down.
Yeah,
you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, one way I've seen people kind of solve that, I think, is you have different levels of subscriber chat.
Yeah,
and like say that's what they're watching. They're watching chat, and you've somehow, or either just by subscribing, or you've been cherry picked to be in that chat, and they're watching that. And then you got the Gen Pop.
Yeah,
you got the Gen Pop chat that's going out. But I haven't seen anything else really solve that problem.
Yeah, the problem too was up until recently that feature wasn't available to a channel until they hit certain milestones. So like now we have the ability to do the subscriber chat, I think, universally, but
we had to hit 90 streams before we could put up subscriber only chat.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that would definitely be a benefit for sure. And then it also incentivizes people to actually subscribe, and actually have some investiture into the group again.
What I see a lot more of these days is that people are doing their viewer incentives through Patreon.
Yeah.
They're not caring about getting bits or subs on Twitch. I don't know if it's just because of the pay models or how much of the pay they get. Twitch takes half of every sub pretty much monetarily.
Right.
But I think what they do is you're seeing a lot of people that are just putting the content out there to interact with people and then directing them back to their Patreons to get them to support them there. So it's kind of weird because Twitch is giving you a platform by which to bypass Twitch to go right to a platform where you can be paid directly. But then there you can set up all your tiers of interaction with the fans, like what they want to come in at monetarily and then what they get for it.
Does Amazon own Patreon?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, probably at this point. If Amazon doesn't own it, I'm surprised.
If Disney and Amazon are the only two companies left on the planet, and everyone else just hasn't figured it out.
Don't worry, they'll
yet,
merge.
But...
Yeah, right.
Oh God. So let's see. Trying to keep up with chat. We actually got a lot of chat going on tonight.
There's
awesome.
a ton of chat. It's a lot of cross chat between the people in chat at the moment. But
it sure is. So incentives in games, like having NPCs named after you or put together in your honor kind of thing. Those are kind of interesting ones because it's a nice nod to a fan without being too invasive, I guess. I think it's a nice little little touch there.
All right. So modern role playing games. Have you guys tried out like Dungeon or Apocalypse World or any of the Apocalypse World games?
No, we were pretty stuck in our D&D days, but we need to branch out a little bit more.
I'm working on branching out. But
here's what you do: if you want an easy way to branch out to experience, go to Games on Demand at Gen Con and jump in as many as you can, and you'll get a wide breadth of cool indie stuff. But there's the new. Have you ever played Fiasco?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so that's one. I lump that in the same kind of thing. The modern role-playing games they've swung the needle way towards narrative and storytelling, and not so much worrying about mechanics.
Definitely rules light.
And more player agency, where it's more on the players to help develop the story as well. Because when you sit down at a table, it's not about the old school thinking traditionally is you're sitting at a table, and depending on the group, you're either us versus the DM, or you're you versus the DM's crazy plan or whatever campaign or the big bad or whatever. And but in the new kind of age of storytelling games, you sit down and it's all about, okay, we're here to have a good time. We're here to create the best freaking coolest story that's interesting to all of us that we can, and we're all going to work together to do that. And so the systems reflect that, where there's still dice rolling and shit like that, and there's mechanics and stuff, but those are there to just help bring new things that you aren't necessarily expecting, and then taking the story in different ways. And then there's a lot more of the DM asking a player like, well, you just stuck your hand in there. What did it feel like? What was it like? What's it? And asking them and having them fill in like the add to the story, and being more involved in the creation of that story. And that's really cool, because what's cool is I was seeing that before Twitch. And few years before I started seeing all this stuff on Twitch. So this stuff, this interaction with the audience that you're talking about, all plays right into that new
100%
mentality. Like, don't necessarily. The best way to approach it is not to think, okay, I got this laid out campaign, and they've got to hit all these story points along the way.
Right. You
got to kind of just roll the punches, have something blocked out. Like, it's exactly what Turk's doing with Grouch Couch.
Right.
He's got Big Bad. We got Warlocks. It's at the end point somewhere, and he's just taking the hits as he. Just kind of the story's kind of building, and it's not necessarily his. And it's not the players. It's all of our story. So it's all we don't know how it's gonna come together, but you got to just kind of wait and see and roll with the punches.
Yeah, I think if you set off with that as your mentality for a game, it really works. You know, because I think there are, like we've talked about this before, there's different GMing styles, you know, and how you construct your story, and, you know, how on rails should it be, how much agency should a player have, you know, where's the improv versus structured kind of elements at play there. And they all have their place. They all work with certain audiences and certain players and certain DMs. But I think for this format that we're talking about, you have to be more loose with your structuring and more prone to improv. And if you can do those things, then all these other kinds of chat and interactive incentives suddenly works and has a really good place.
Right.
Let's see. A lot of talk about the shirt that I'm wearing. It was just to kind of go on that real quick. This shirt was our first run, and this was one of the screwed up shirts, actually. So we were with a different company that ended up being way too expensive, so we ended up canning that one. And I think we currently have some merch up. I'll have to ask Clint about that again to see what he's got up there right now. But if you like some wisdom check stuff, let me know, and we can come up with some more designs. If you want it on the sleeve, I'm sure we can figure that one out.
No one's seen it out there yet, but I still want that Everstorm shirt.
Oh, the Everstorm shirt's freaking baller.
That thing is fucking sweet. I can't wait to. We got to get that merch store so we can put that thing up there just so I can buy one.
Yeah, that's what's going to end up happening, is just going to be us buying our own stuff.
Well, 7 shirts will get sold of each type. It'll just be us buying all of our own shirts. we know that when we put the merch, just so nobody gets any crazy ideas, we know that when we put the merch store up there. We just have to build a merch store so that we can get the shirts made.
See, that's why you need a team there. So that way you've got 7 built-in people buying your own products.
Oh, man.
But no, it's cool. Let's see.
So I got a merch store too, funked.com, and I did that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I just use it like I don't want to wear anything but my own
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I buy my own t-shirts, my own designs. That's what I wear. I'm not really looking to be a retailer, but I have it up on Threadless for anybody who ever actually finds it. But most of it's just for me and my daughter, because she'll draw stuff and I'll put it on shirts for her and she'll wear them.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie though, those Grouch Couch shirts are pretty kick-ass. I could wear a Grouch Couch shirt. I like their logo. The couch is awesome.
The big angry couch.
The big angry couch is fucking badass. I'd totally rock one of those shirts. I gotta get one. I gotta get on there. I need to go buy one off there.
That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna start going to all these cons. Just buy all you guys' shirts. Just every day wear a different one. Just walk around. You know,
my online guild Plague, and Plague State is my my guild leader. He's currently on the account right now. I'm also on that account every now and then. So if you see Plague State pop in there, it's either me or Malice. And
okay.
So, but we do a cookout, an in-person cookout once a year. We always make shirts for it. So I've got like 4 Plague shirts now that I can rotate around through.
Nice.
And I need to start adding to my collection some stream shirts from some of these people that I watch, because I'll totally rock one. I don't care. I think they're awesome.
Right on. Yeah.
And you guys are all trying to do some Streamlabs stuff there. I will tell you right now, because I'm running it tonight, not our usual tech guy, Streamlabs is not happening right now, so sorry about that. But we'll get that stuff going in the
that is the stuff I need to learn how to do. I was actually talking to them last night, because they have all kinds of cool commands on Grouch Couch. I need to figure out how they do it. I don't know how to do any of that crap. Like I said, I'm the guy who comes back like, guys, here's what we need. Figure it out. So we got to figure out how to make that stuff work.
The trick is just pretending like you know what you're doing. But yeah.
We'll definitely get there someday. Slowly but surely. We're like 3 emojis behind too. Like Fruitzilla, like put us up over the top on a lot of things, and we have to make like emojis and stuff now, and I can't do any of that crap. I tried one day, looked horrible. I'm a terrible graphic designer, but I'm always willing to try it. Just because here's my plan: I always make one, and I throw it to the guys like, "Hey guys, look, I made one," and it always looks so bad that then one of them quickly goes and makes a good one because they know I have the ability to actually put it in there. So.
It's just the threat of nuclear annihilation.
It's just the threat of my art getting put out there that gets the actual art made and put on there sometimes.
Oh, God. It's so true. Oh, man. So what other games are you looking at these days, for your time?
For my time? Well, I'm gonna do something different this weekend. I'm actually gonna... I don't know if you guys know of Dungeon Degenerates.
Dungeon Degenerates? No.
I can't say I've heard of that one.
Oh, yeah?
I like the way you turn your glasses come off, but as soon as you come back, they like snap to your head like you're doing on purpose.
Again, they snap back on there.
Yeah, right. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it without... Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dungeon Degenerates.
Oh, that looks freaking crazy, but the...
It's
it looks even cooler on fire.
yeah, right? It's a very cool it's got a cool story to it. It's got a mission book. The mission book's kind of really interesting because it's more like a choose your own adventure. Choose a mission, and then at the end you got several different things you can do to take your party on past that if you survive. It's got it's a co-op. It's got a lot of different decks of cards for different encounters and these crazy art, like super crazy art.
Yeah, this is it's fighting you a little bit there.
Yeah. But
something's green.
Very unique. He's got an incredibly unique style of art. So I'm gonna do that. But also, I've been thinking more now that I have a little bit more visitors. I was thinking about getting back into falling back to the role playing games. Maybe revisiting Dungeon Crawl Classics. Actually, what I was thinking is they came out with Mutant Crawl Classics like last year or a year before, and I was like, well. They have you guys are aware of the funnel, right?
Yeah.
The funnel is so much fun, and
that's perfect for streams.
Yeah, and it's fun to do solo because I got like 20 people. And I'm like, who's gonna live? I'm playing all these peasants, so I think I might after the first of the year I might get back into doing that.
A friend of one of our friends streams, so I mentioned earlier, Defenders of Cobalt, DM Chuck ran DCC, and he did a funnel. He had 6 players with 4 characters each.
Yeah.
I recommended to him, and he did it. And I'll give you the same recommendation. You need a tracking board, to track all the deaths, because when there's 24 player characters in there, like you can role play, give them all personalities, whatever. It's hard as a viewer to keep track of that many PCs on who's living, dying, and what's going on.
Give yourself like a Hunger's Games style streamer comes up.
Yeah, it was just listed. He was checking them off as he was killing them. Like it's.
Man, yeah, it was like some sound effects come across in Streamlabs, of like the wood chipper.
Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to figure out. Actually, back. The big thing I need to do for next year is figure out how to introduce my game to streaming.
Okay.
My game, so which is a great segue.
I think
let's hear about your game.
We went to ask. We started to talk about it, and we got derailed. Go ahead.
I derailed.
He did it on purpose. I watched it. Yeah, I called him out on it. And he just went right past it.
There's a time and there's a place for everything, and this is a good segue.
Yeah, go right into it.
So, all right. So it's a role playing game for kids. That's what the biggest point where I struggle with trying to introduce it on Twitch, because the time that I can stream is because when my house is most quiet is late on Friday and Saturday nights, which kind of lends itself more to an adult kind of atmosphere.
Right.
So, but I really want to start introducing the game. The game's called Star Jumpers.
Star Jumpers.
And it's a sci-fi based kids role playing game. I have a daughter. She's 9 now, and I played a bunch of different role playing games with her, and all of them I was a little disappointed in almost all of them because they all kind of fall back to your natural kind of the traditional kind of really it's going to end up just be them fighting monsters kind of thing. And I wanted something that was a little bit more, like I was saying, I'm big on the modern storytelling stuff. I wanted something where they're creating a story and it's less about just encounter after encounter. And so I started tinkering around on myself. And what's got me really excited about it is there's 3 main parts to it for Star Jumpers. They're a team of elite do-gooders that jump around stars. They can jump from star to star because they're special energy beings that can move from galaxy to galaxy. And but they don't have human forms, or they don't have forms, or biological forms. So they have to take on forms. And your first game, you're from the Earth Sun, so you know human form, so you can take on a human form. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so then the GM plays as the commander, and the GM role here is a little more kind of have his half foot in to play and half foot out to be the GM.
Give a little bit of guidance.
You're the commander. Yeah, you're commander. You're on planet the Pluto moon base, and you're kind of directing the team. Mm-hmm. And keyword there is directing.
Yeah.
The key thing about it, which I'm super excited about, is it's got a system which I call fail to win system. This is what it's been a big
fail to win. So we said
fail to win. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's cool about it is, the first iteration of the game, I had a dice roll, and I sat down with one of my playtest groups. And when you have a kid, and this is true for adults too, but when you have a kid, especially, mm-hmm. and you got a 10-year-old kid, and you just asked them what they wanted to do, and they just told you some cool ass shit they're going to do, and you're like, okay, roll a die, and they roll a die, and they fail.
Yep.
The look in their eyes, they're like, shit, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry the dice suck.
Just destroys it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, well, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this to have fun. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's really, when I sit down at the table with the kids, especially kids, this is especially with kids.
For sure.
It's all about having a good time right then. Mm-hmm. It's not about some, there is a story, and they don't care as much about this big epic story. They don't care about the end. Right. It's all about what's going on at the table right then. And I know that. I'm the commander. I worry more about what the bigger story, if there is any or whatever. So I want them to have a good time when they do it. So I did a lot of research and digging around in blog posts of mm-hmm. cool designers, indie designers, and I hit on something that, like I said, I call the fail to win. Basically, I tell the kid they've got skills. They build their characters. They've got skills. They usually have a body skill mm-hmm. of one of those, and then they have their body and mind attributes. And whenever they meet something, some kind of trouble, or not trouble, but some kind of problem, they have to solve it. They try to solve it with either one of their skills, or the body and mind act as kind of a catch-all. So they could do anything they want. It's within reason. It can't be like, I'm going to jump 500 feet or something. It's got to be within reason, and that's your job as commander to kind of lay the boundaries. Mm-hmm. But you're like, okay, well, that sounds reasonable. You could try doing that. You want to jump. Okay, let's say you don't have the acrobatic skill, but you want to jump over this bridge. Fine. You're going to use your body to do that. But here's the key thing with the system. Instead of having them roll a die, I say, do you succeed or do you fail?
Okay.
They succeed. They tell me exactly how they succeed. And you tell me exactly how you jump over that. Awesome. Mm-hmm. It is that you do that. If they fail, I'll get to that. I'll tell you what happens if they fail. But why do they choose to fail? Failing is the only way they get to check off upgrade boxes on their skills or their. Oh. So
I like that.
To start, your mind, body, and then your 2 skills have 6 upgrade boxes on. Mm-hmm. And once those are all upgraded, you get access to the next level of skill. Acrobatics might be you get this new move that's yours that you get to do for free that you name. Some cool ass move that you get to pull out later. And then if you upgrade your mind and your body, it gets you access to more skills when you start. So you get to have 2 mind skills and 1 body skill. So when they go choose to fail, they got to make this choice. They got to choose whether do we want to fail mm-hmm. and then and check off a box, or do they want to succeed. Mm-hmm. When they choose to fail, that's when a die does come into play. I have a die just because I wanted a little bit of randomness about whether or not it's them telling me what happens when they fail, or mm-hmm. I tell them what happens when they fail. So what they do is they roll a die. If they get over the number of boxes they have checked for that particular skill, upgraded boxes, if they get over it, then they get to tell me how they fail. And it's usually, they didn't hurt themselves. They did something right. Mm-hmm. If they roll under, so the more upgrade boxes they have, the more chances it's going to be I tell them what happened. Then I tell them, and usually at that point I tell them got hurt or something happened. You fell on your ass and you hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. And then I would hand them a hurt card, a minor hurt. Once you get a minor hurt and a major hurt, once you get a major hurt, you get kind of drop lifted out of the game for a minute, and you got to get back to the base, and then we drop you back into the mission and a little bit later. So it's not like a permanent thing.
Yeah, just like a little timeout kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So that's a fail to win. And then I've got it all based on at each level of you get a new skill, there's more upgrade boxes. So the die roll goes from 6 to 8 to 10 to 12, the fail die roll. But other than that, so what's cool with playtesting this is at first you get kids, like the girls mostly will be like, why do I want to fail?
Sure. Yeah.
And usually, typically, I'm going to say all the time, but typically what I've seen, it's the first one who choose to fail is a boy because they just want to fuck around and have a good time. And once everybody sees someone fail and nothing like extravagant happen, like, then it's starting to be fun. And what happens is the best case, and it happens every time. I don't know, I'm going to not every time, but it does happen a lot, is you get this chain of events where one person fails, and what I do is, as commander, it's your job to say, okay, you failed, even though let's say they won the fail die, and they say, well, I didn't get hurt, but I still say, well, this was the consequence. The guards are now after you, and then you look at the next player, you go, your teammate's in trouble. What are you going to do? These guards are after him, and they got to tell you what they're going to do. They choose to fail or succeed. They might choose to fail. Boom, the next person's got to save them. So what ends up happening is you heighten the situation to one person's got to be the hero and choose to succeed. And someone always buys, grabs that low-hanging fruit. It's like, I want to be the hero.
Sure.
And then boom, it all kind of resets, and you're just moving along because you got points that you're moving them through the story, but you're not like hard on it because you got to be really loose with this kind of shit. They gotta fail and succeed.
Well, what I really like about this concept too is that it creates a mechanic that shows people that failure is an enjoyable part of a game experience. That's something that we took a lot of effort to try to drive to our Larp community when we were playing, is that everyone wanted to succeed, never make mistakes, never get called on anything, never fail in a political objective. But when that was boring as hell. Right. But the failure is where the story lives. And even this concept of like failing to succeed, like I like those sorts of systems where when you fail at something, that's when you improve at your skill, or have a chance to improve at your skill. Success is its own advantage, but failure should have kind of that two-tone thing, especially with kids, like you're talking about. Because for kids in particular, like you were saying, it is a very difficult thing to accept failure. Because it does feel catastrophic. In the moment, and the way you guys set up is brilliant. It's so good. Now,
I don't even think that's just a kid system.
No, it's good for adults for sure.
Sit down with adults and play that. I mean, there are people out there I see playing in games that need to play through that system one time just to learn how to fail. And to know that it's okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an important life lesson for sure.
And maybe even more so for some DMs who need to figure out how to let their players fail and make failing interesting. That's a hard thing to do as a DM sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, have you looked into BJ Hensley? She's the founder of Playground Adventures. She's vice president of Lone Wolf Development. She's doing a bunch of stuff for kids, in particular, family-friendly gaming systems. So I've been actually looking to potentially get her on the show. But
she streams?
No, she's Business Insider. She does. She's an author. She's a developer of games.
Okay.
But yeah, I would look into her a little bit. If you're interested in that kind of genre and kind of market, I'm sure that's somebody who would
absolutely
be in the know. And I mean, it's a cool thing because there are these versions of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff that are simplified and tuned for kids, but like you were saying before, the concepts are almost always beat the monster, get the loot. It's like, what kind of lessons are you teaching kids when you're playing these? Use violence, murder everything, take all their stuff. Murder hobo, go.
Yeah. Oh, right. It doesn't have to be so much violence. Yeah, that was the main thing. I wasn't looking for a system that teaches anybody something, and at all. I did the fail thing because I didn't like the look in someone's eyes when they lose a die roll. It sucks, I know. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. Yeah. And that's where I came on that angle. But what I landed on, exactly what you said, is when I realized, I was like, wow, this is a great way to learn that failure isn't something you need to be afraid of. Yeah. But it wasn't something I was going in, hey, I want to teach lessons here. And then the violence thing was just something I as a parent, I'm going to look around going like, how do we really need a world where we're running around shooting, Native American people, you know what I mean? Like cowboys and Indians and all this shit and like all the video games. I'm like, and it's not like I think that causes, I'm not part of that political thing that I think that causes stuff, but I do think it's a little over like heavy handed in a lot of areas. And it doesn't need to be the story. There's a lot of great stories that don't involve killing something.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
it's the most natural way of introducing conflict, and it seems like a game requires some form of conflict and some risk reward and some kind of
Yeah.
those elements are important. And I think for the average, maybe guy, since a lot of guys were developers of these games to introduce it, that the idea of overcoming a villain or fighting something or dominating something in some fashion was kind of more intuitive. But there's so many
Right.
ways for you to have various interactions, various consequences, success or failure, these sorts of things, and other avenues that we don't see that as much as we should in some of these games. And
Right.
again, I think it's just because we're accustomed to a certain way of game unfolding, just because that's the media we've ingested over our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, D&D started as a
I
mean,
cut
that
out
was-
there a little
that was
bit.
the
It
original-
cut out there. It started as a what?
a war game.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the original incarnation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all war games, moving soldiers around the field, and and then you get into the original Dungeons and Dragons, is literally translating that into one guy kicking down doors and beating up monsters. And hey, look what we got there. There's some nice dice back there.
Yeah,
Well, terrified
I think
skeletal owl beast.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
I think we've seen a progression. Like, I know a lot of people are attributing it a lot to 5e, like with this new wave of players coming into the hobby, this, that, the other. But I think even before that, we saw a progression already of people getting away from that idea, as people went away from, like, more groups that I knew, like, were no longer using XP to track levels. Like getting away from the idea that everything is a walking pinata of
Yeah, right.
XP, right? And not everything's just walking around holding 5 magic swords ready to drop the moment you kill it, even though
Right.
it's like some random warthog in a field. They got away from those kinds of ideas. A lot of groups did, because I think that helped drive the idea of, tackle this situation without conflict, direct conflict, like create
Right.
other kinds of conflict. Like, I remember the first time our group was like, there's a dragon and he's sleeping, and we're like, well, do we still get the experience if we just sneak past him? I guess so. So, like, because then they're like, well, because if we're only getting half XP by sneaking past him, we're killing it.
Yep.
Like, so it was directly affecting player decisions. So I think once you take that stuff off the table, you get a more pure character-driven reaction and solution that creates a lot of times more interesting story.
Yeah,
so I
'cause
think
rule
we've seen
systems
that
create a lot of
progression.
these things. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
original D&D, all that stuff was prints for video games. And now we're ejecting from that and then letting video games take that and go. Because that's where that really works. Like the Killer the
Right.
Random Boar, that's such a World of Warcraft thing. It's like, for the XP.
Yeah.
But for
So-
our... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so you think we're hitting like the old radio talk show, like the old radio storytelling show where they'd sit around the radio, like in the 20s or before TV, and they'd sit around and listen to like, I was trying to think
Detective
of
shows and that kind of thing.
like War of the Worlds, whatever. Like, weren't those originally just broadcasted on radio?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
kind of heading back that direction.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is like it's all about. That's one thing. My only 5th edition, I like it a lot as a step in a great direction. Is it still feels very tactical? It feels very video gamey to me. I think modern storytellers and modern role playing games are more about the story, and when the story, there should be the mechanics should help that and not be like a big part. You know what I mean? Like video games, it's perfect for video games when you have all these different skill levels or all these different things you can do and powers and shit and you track your XP. But when it gets into the crafting a great story, that shit can get in the way, or it can just bog things down, or like when you're switching to a map and you're moving things on a map. I mean, that's board game, video game territory, man. That's like it takes me out of the experience rather than putting me in.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've intentionally thought about with my Zweihander game. Like, how much combat do I want to do? How much moving tokens around stuff do I want to do? Like, I want to spend as much time not in those, but I still have to have those points of conflict every now and then.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I can't completely avoid them.
Yeah.
How
I think
do
it
I make
depends
them
on your group.
streamlined, and how do I make them have gravity and weight? That's what I focus.
Because there are different approaches to that, of course. Like I think, for some people, it's just the tactical combat stuff is just fun. So it's something they would enjoy having in the game. So you kind of want to dot it in there for that. I think from like a story perspective, of course, you don't want just fights for the sake of fights. You want it for this is a dramatic tension point. This is something that makes sense for the moment. This is an important aspect of what's happening, and how do you deal with the consequences of that? And that's really cool too.
Here's what you don't get when you start putting people on, when you start playing with figures on a. What you don't get is like what my boy King Fishy did the other day, where he whipped out a potion, jammed it into this guy's mouth, and then uppercut him and killed him with all the poison in that potion. That's the kind of shit you don't get when you're looking at. Okay, can I move this? Is this 5 feet? Is this 5 feet? I'm going to go here, and that kind of takes that out of the equation. That whole let's have fun and think of cool shit, or them jumping up. Ilkid jumped up and hit this wizard that was a warlock that was up in the sky. He was a monk, so he was able to do that somehow. And then he rode somebody coming back down. I mean, that's the shit I get. That's the stuff I get. It's fun for me, but I don't feel like you can get, the experience goes away when you have to get as literal, I guess.
I suppose so. Yeah.
It's a matter of what I think what you're getting at here. And we were having this discussion in the Discord the other day, not in ours, but a Discord where I was having this discussion about how these newer systems are leaving combat abstract.
Yeah.
You make a roll or a simple roll, and then the expectation is between you and your DM to narrate out what happens. And you're seeing that maybe driven by like Critical Role, and you see like that. Well, how does his story end? Sort of idea. Like you're seeing that push through the channels a lot. Coming down the pipe from those places that maybe first started doing it. But now you're seeing a lot of systems that are being built with that in mind.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, roll this one die. If it comes up this, tell me what just happened. And that's different than my character gets X number of attacks, and those X number of attacks are exactly what they say they are. A whirlwind trip, a dash move. Like when the description of your ability tells you exactly what it is, there's nothing left for the player to determine except am I going to do A, B, or C. Yeah. And that's where like old school version 1 Pathfinder drives me nuts. Like I feel like it. And me and Jeff, this is where me and Jeff will fight.
Yep.
Because he loves fucking Pathfinder and I hate it with a passion. But but that's exactly. But you nailed it. You nailed exactly how I've always felt about it. It takes away your agency in it and tells you what you can and can't do.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite question for players is, okay, when they roll, and I'll do this. I'm a terrible GM in a sense that if somebody rolls and the monster's got like 1 or 2 hit points left, I'm still like, okay, it's dead. And my favorite question though is, all right, tell us how you kill this. Tell us the cool way that you kill this guy, and then have them narrate like whatever cool move or whatever cool thing they did and how it dies and all. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I think there's a way to blend these two concepts together though, and one system that did that pretty well was Exalted. So I don't know if you played Exalted or not, but so Exalted is built off of.
Exalted was cool. It just took you 20 minutes to get to the point where you finally got to describe it.
Yeah, it was
so mechanics heavy, so dicey. It was so.
There were some things that did extremely well, and some things were. But the thing I'm getting at is that they had a system for stunting, and so the whole thing is kind of built off of like fantasy anime. So there's like that kind of over the top, ridiculous kung fu kind of flavor to it. And so you were able to do a stunt, and if you did, you would describe your action, and the more the more immersive what you were describing was, the more potential bonus dice you got, and potentially like a willpower point or an auto success or something that went along with it. And so it incentivized you directly to take big risks, to do creative things with your dice, and then play it out. And like around the table, I mean, it's just like a die or 2 or maybe 3. But, somebody does it, everybody has a good time listening to what the description is and how it plays out. And then as you were describing before with the failure system, it created this cascade where like everybody was trying to outdo each other and being creative within the bounds of, semi-realism, but like you're creating something that was exciting as opposed to I'm waiting for my turn Okay, what'd you do? I roll like 30 dice and then did 33. Okay, he did 33, guys. Cool. You know, did alive? Yeah, still fine. Okay, next. You know, so it was just a cooler experience. Of course, their system was still convoluted and crazy and dice heavy, but
super crazy.
that one was
But
super
it
dense.
was in it to defend it, because I know I attack it a lot, but it was intended to be an anime.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean, it was kind of like, hey, you did 5 million attacks and did 300,000 damage. Well, yeah, you're an anime character. Of course you did. Like, why are we even discussing the fact that you can basically hit with the planet? Sure,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Pathfinder 2's new systems are great, by the way, in chat there. I'm
yeah,
looking forward to talking
that's why I
about it.
want to do a little talk with you about it one of these days, Jeff. We need to.
We'll do
get
it. We'll
started.
do it. But yeah, I think you're about to say what I was about to say. Somehow we've already filled our time slot.
We have. we are just a couple of minutes from hitting our 2-hour mark. So
It's crazy go nuts. That one went fast.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and, as we usually do, we're going to go ahead and let Lich here start the outros. So you didn't get a chance though, is to show everybody your cool Lich face.
Oh yeah.
So
I wish the sound. You can check these out. So the Lich. One day maybe you guys could have. He's my boss. He runs the dungeon. He's the one that sanctioned the Liching Hour. So I kind of work at his discretion, and he does in dungeon news. He does news for the dungeon. I'm on season 2 right now. You can check him out on YouTube. But I'll give you a little peek at what he looks like. But I wasn't able to get the sound to work. But this is like an example of his.
It's so good.
Yeah. He's really interested in DMing for somebody. So we'll see. It has to be a special case. But
That's
he'd love
awesome.
to be the DM.
that's amazing.
See, that would be cool. You do a system where you could like donate in bits, and then if you get enough, you could buy a game session. With the Lich.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, those are the nice touches, man. That's a really good paint job. That's nice.
So why don't you tell all of our viewers out there where they can find you, when and where they can find you at Lich?
Yep, you can find me on twitch.tv's The Liching Hour, Fridays at 12 a.m. Eastern, and Saturdays at 12, which is The Liching Hour, by the way. Just saying. And then every now and then I'll pop on throughout the week, but those are my 2 primary slots.
Fantastic.
Jeff?
You catch me in chat on Sundays at Drunks and Dragons.
On Drunks and
yeah.
Dragons in chat. You definitely find him there. Yes.
Very good. So yeah, for me, you'll find me here with Dustin on Monday nights with awesome guests like the Liching Hour here. And so that's always, of course, at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday nights. We also occasionally play in our D&D game on the Everstorm, and that's usually on Saturday nights. Usually we're kind of off and on whenever it comes up, so we'll try to get the list of where you can find that up on
It's
our Discord.
already on the panels.
Perfect.
Next game is November 9th.
November
Game
9th. Wow, that's coming up soon. So yeah, we play that. It's a good time. I enjoy that a lot. You can also find some of my old content that I used to do of Let's Play content on YouTube. And over there at the YouTube land, you'll find me at Reign Survives. So it's REIGN Survives. And you'll find stuff like Fallout 4 Frost. I do Pathfinder Kingmaker. I do a bunch of survival games like, your Ark and stuff. But I tend to play things on the impossibly stupidly difficult settings with like maximum hurt, applied. And so it's a lot of me trying to struggle for anything that could possibly go right. Yeah?
Hey, you playing Bard's
No, I haven't played it. No.
Did you play any of the older ones?
Uh-uh.
Oh, so check out Bard's Tale 4, The Barrow's Down. It just kickstarted. It was a sequel to a trilogy that came out a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It was one of the first FPS dungeon crawlers.
Nice.
And the Bard's Tale was, and there's 3 of them, and then they came out before they kickstarted it, got a couple $1 million, and then they put it out like last year. I've been super addicted to it.
Okay.
It's a fun puzzle. If you like puzzles,
I do. I love puzzles.
oh yeah, great puzzly combat and really great environment puzzles.
Hell yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to check that one out. Bard's Tale
Definitely
4. Okay.
worth checking out. Yep.
Perfect. Well, I've been on a bit of a break with my videos over there, but for the reasons you described before, with just production takes forever, and I was having more fun doing this. But yeah, that's I need if the game's what it is, then I might actually get back into doing it. So thanks for
that's the trick.
suggestion.
Stream it live and then just rip it and put it on.
Yeah, that's definitely the trick.
He's on YouTube too.
Awesome. And Dustin, where can we find you? Is it still the Dustocalypse? Are we seeing you everywhere?
It has been. It's been the tour to Dustin lately. So I am, of course, here every Monday with Jeff on the Wisdom Check. Saturdays, Everstorm, when those roll around. Again, you can check the panels for the schedules on those. Every other Thursday, which is not this coming Thursday, but a week from Thursday, my Zweihander game appears here on TT2KB. That's Terror in Treefell. So it'll be Chapter 3, Manhunt, will be the next episode coming up in about a week and a half. So you'll be able to find me there. The following day after that game, every other week, I will now be appearing on Grim and Perilous Gaming, the home of Zweihander, playing on their Twitch as my Battle Nun, Miguel, the Battle Nun, in Enemies Within, which is actually a Warhammer adventure path that they've redone for Zweihander. So you'll be able to find me playing on there. Ooh, look at that!
Nice.
Coming up next week, here on the Wisdom Check, our guests will be the people from Found Familiar Coffee. If you're unfamiliar with Found Familiar, they do D&D brand coffees. So there's Metamagic. I don't know. There's a few different varieties they have. You can. They're going to be doing a coffee giveaway.
It's got to be an Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, there's a few in there like that. They're all D&D themed, all the different versions. So we're going to be doing a coffee giveaway when they're here next week. If you're in the chat,
dude, I'm totally in that coffee. It's got to be better.
We're going to work out with them. You'll have to give them your info to send it to you. I do not have the coffee. They are going to send the copy directly to you. So yes, come next week. Our friends over at Featherfall are sponsored by Found Familiar.
D&D coffee.
So if you're not a winner, we will, however, give you Featherfall's promo code, and you get like 10% off of your first purchase at Found Familiar. So
and it helps support them.
Get
so
all that information out there to you next week for that. The following week, we have Lords of Gallipie Games is going to be here. He's an RPG creator. We're going to talk about his own homebrew, but it's his own system that he's put together.
It's been talking about it in our Discord. It's been pretty cool.
It's been lighting up in our Discord lately. I'm going to play it sometime soon, so I'll be able to maybe know a little bit more about it. Mm-hmm. We have another giveaway coming up. It's not going to be next week with the Found Familiar stuff, but in a couple of weeks, we have this fantastic dice necklace created by Tara Jane Sands, who's the voice of Bulbasaur and all the Pokemon.
Take it to your right in front of your face there.
Am I right
there you
here?
go.
Okay, I got to move it a little bit more over here.
There it is.
Nope, other way.
So,
man, right in front of your noggin.
Right
just
there.
block yourself out.
Does that work?
That's the one.
All right. Well, here it is. I'm horrible at getting this thing on screen, is what I've learned. So we have that. We'll be doing a sub giveaway for that sometime next month. So, but we're going to do the coffee giveaway next week.
Yeah, we're going to keep trying to get more stuff to give away to some subscribers because we really like doing that. So we're going to be trying to make some connections at these cons I'm going to. I'm going to try to see if we can't find some more sponsors and such to hook us up, such as our Die Hard Dice that have been hooking us up with some good, awesome heavy metal dice. So definitely check those guys out too if you haven't.
So also, last thing I need to plug before we go tonight is down in the panels. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago, Cosmo Joe. His RPEX experience walkthrough dungeon Kickstarter has about a week and 2 or 3 days left on it, and it looks like they're just under 50% of the way to their goal of $10,000. So you can click the panel down there. It'll take you right to their Kickstarter. We're helping promote it for him. He came on the show. It was an awesome interview.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You can find that interview on YouTube now, along with all of our Wisdom Check episodes, except for this one.
Oh, shit, I forgot to plug that, didn't I?
Days to do all that work. And then we'll have it up there too. So from us here at TT2KB, Jeff, hey, you know what? Let's raid somebody tonight.
Let us raid somebody. What do I
know
got to do
who
for
we
that?
need to raid? Let's raid